911, what's your emergency? A young Caucasian male was found dead in a shack located on the property of Souhegan High School. Crime investigators are on the scene but have found limited evidence. Authorities are questioning whether DNA fingerprinting is appropriate for this case.
There's limited evidence found on the scene of the crime. There are no possible suspects. There is blood on the scene, but with that, our next step would use DNA testing.
Tyler Martin, a 15-year-old boy, was found dead in a shack outside of Souhegan High School. After long hours of investigation, detectives concluded there is not enough evidence to close this case. Authorities say the next step is to use DNA fingerprinting.
Now, what exactly is DNA fingerprinting? DNA evidence first entered the courtroom in 1986. It has become an increasingly more important role in our legal system. DNA fingerprinting is the analysis of samples of body tissues or fluids in order to identify individuals. A case like this is one of the many reasons there should be a DNA database.
In the process of analyzing DNA, officials compare the genetic makeup of tissue samples in search of similarities and differences among them. They do so by not comparing all of the DNA contained in each cell, but instead by marking a small number of segments and then checking for the presence or absence of those segments in each sample. 6 DQ alleles are used in this process.
A DNA database would put every person born in the U.S.'s genetic makeup, a sample taken at birth, in one place. This would make it extremely easy for officials to compare samples found at crime scenes to these in the database, which would solve an exponential amount of crimes like this one.
DNA fingerprinting identifies an individual with certainty. The chances of 2 people having the same DNA profile are less than 1 in 1 billion. Not only does fingerprinting solve for crimes, but also for missing persons, identification, for legal claims, and potentially paternity cases as well.
Submitting a person's DNA into the database could be a possible invasion of privacy. There is a slim chance of inaccuracy in tests like the DQA1 test, and there could be slim possibility of similar DNA found in things like twins. What's your opinion on DNA fingerprinting and a national DNA database?
I think it's a very good thing because it can stop a lot of crime and it can help us out with a lot of
What's
it.
your opinion on DNA fingerprinting and a national DNA database?
I think it's really beneficial and it'll stop a lot of crime and just be really good for
What's your opinion on DNA fingerprinting and a national DNA database?
It's very beneficial and helps out with the crime.
Pros and other reasons for DNA database. Exonerate persons wrongly accused of crimes. Identify crime and catastrophe victims.
Establishing paternity and other family relationships. Match organ donors with recipients in transplant programs.
The use of DNA forensic identification was also used in identifying September 11th victims, the DNA Shoah project, which was used in identifying Holocaust victims, and in cases of disappeared children in Argentina. And now we're here with Professor Jamal.
On average, about 6,000 people get away with murder. Between 1980 and 2008, 185,000 murder cases went unsolved. For my prior cases, homicides have become more difficult to solve because of drug and gang-related killings. Authorities blame lack of witness cooperation for the increase of unsolved murders. Not only murder, but smaller scale crimes such as robbery, home invasions, arson, etc. will be easier to solve. The crime rate will decrease because people would be more hesitant to commit such crimes knowing they would be caught. Professor Alec Jeffrey states, in terms of DNA touching people's life, DNA fingerprinting is probably the most important thing to come out of the discovery of the double helix. A DNA database is a necessity to the safety of the U.S. There would be a 60% reduction of unsolved crimes across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. With the evolution of DNA fingerprinting and the possibility of a national DNA database, it will help solve many crimes in the near future. Signing off, I'm Allie Chapman.
I'm Callie Anderson.
With Science Today News.